Music to my ears, man. See, once you start tapping, you never can stop.
Roll, please. Big. Parker. Way back.
Phone's rolling.
Tap is a very precious national resource, one of the few truly American art forms that we have. Now, everybody loves tap, right? Bill Robinson, Gene Kelly, they made it look so easy on the big screen. But the real story of tap cuts much deeper than a dance on a movie screen. My name is Sammy Davis, Jr. Tonight, you have a chance to look behind the scenes at the making of a very, very special film that tells a real story of what tap dancing is about and find out where tap's at now and where it's going. Sit back and listen. You will like what you hear.
His name is woven into the fabric of our nation because he loved peace and championed justice. Burger King salutes Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. because he taught us that to love America the beautiful is to dream of America the possible.
The greatest state that I can get into as a tap dancer is when I'm on stage and I'm improvising and I'm relaxed and I don't have any injuries and I'm in good shape and the steps are just coming.
It feels like I'm just floating. I'm just floating around.
My thrill comes when I can just dance and nobody bother me and no music or nothing. Let me make the music with my feet.
You gotta have something to love, to really have as your best friend. Dancing is our best friend. We could be doing it all our lives, you see.
They say tap dancers talk with their feet. And the stories that those taps could tell, well, I've been in show business for 60 years. And for about 40 of those 60 years, I was a hoofer, a tap dancer with my dad, and I was proud to be a hoofer. When I heard about a contemporary film that told the real story of the tap dancer, I knew I wanted to be a part of it.
I'm talking about for me now.
Yeah, right. What I realized was more interesting than just doing a tap dance movie was to do the story of tap dancing, at least have that as the background.
So the guy we had to get was Gregory Hines, because he's America's premier tap actor. And when Greg got involved, he insisted we use real tap dancers to play the old hoofers.
All these people are headliners in this room. Ain't no ham and eggs, no opening acts, all headliners. Do you understand me?
I felt like they were men that I knew who could fill the bill. From a tap point of view, there was just no question that guys like Steve Condos and Arthur Duncan and Jimmy Slide and Bunny Briggs could do it, could handle the tap, and it would be fabulous. The charm of the movie is that these are the real people who lived the parts that they're playing in this film. When Sandman Sims gets up and says, I was working at this place and headlining, a few weeks later I was sweeping up the floors. I mean, he can say that from his heart of hearts. He knows what that experience was.
We live this picture. See, 20 years is living a picture. You don't make a picture overnight like they do in this one. We lived every scene you did, and you seen in that picture. We lived that scene that rock and roll that killed us.
Oh, no.
Rock and roll still killing us. You want to go dance to that junk?
Once the Hoofers were cast, Gregory suggested Henry Latang as a choreographer who could work with these guys and give us the kind of tapping we wanted.
They wanted the real, authentic tap, not ballet tap, not jazz tap. They wanted the real tap dancing, what we used to call hoofing in the old days.
I'm a hoofer, and it's a difference in hoofing and tap dancing. It's day and night. When you hoof, you use the whole foot. A tap dancer never touched up at the bottom of their foot. But me dancing, I have to use my whole foot, the side, the bottom, the top, anything I can get a sound out of.
The hardest thing for me, though, was working with people who had been dancing for 60 years, and then we had some people who had never danced before, like Susan Douglas.
Suzanne was just an amazing thing. You know, here was a woman who was a fine actress. We knew that. But she really wasn't a tap dancer. And she said so. She said, you know, I'm not really a tap dancer. So we put her with Henry Latang for about a month, and it was just an amazing transformation.
What was so wonderful about Henry Latang was his patience and the desire to teach. Not many people have. That's a real talent, to teach. And Henry has that. It's not an easy art form to learn. I've gone home in tears. I've gone home in pain, you know, because my muscles weren't used to being used that way.
When you see her on that screen, she comes across like a stone professional tap dancer that's been dancing all her life.
I learned so many wonderful things from the tappers in this show. I was eager to learn, and they saw that, and Jimmy Sly would come over and show me the prep step to do wings, or Bunny Briggs once showed me this little da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, the skidda-da-da-da kind of thing, you know. Because they saw I was hungry for it. I want to learn it. Show me everything.
You can feel it all over the whole set, you know, everybody's so, hey, show me that step. You know that step you used to do? And there's a million years worth of talent out there. And that's a glorious feeling.
I just got some brand news.
Some brand new what, Lou?
No, not brand new. Brand news. It's a cereal.
What's its name?
That is its name.
What's its name?
Brand news.
When people were saying that tap dancing was dead, as far as my brother and I are concerned, it never did die. Because we were doing it all the time, all over the world. And people loved it. So I said to my brother, what's this bad rumor going around that tap dancing has died? I said, look at the people out there. When we do it, they just go wild. Say, well, what we got to do is keep doing it and bring it back like it used to be. And it's coming back, right?
Tap's popularity started coming back in the 70s, and in the 80s, seems like it's popping up everywhere now. I got a call from Steve Martin to appear with him on his comedy special, and at first, you know, I was a bit hesitant, because I really didn't know how well he could tap.
Hey, that's what I was gonna do.
Gregory was very generous because he's a great tapper. I'm a mediocre tapper, but he always made me look good.
Over the tops. One more.
Steve worked very hard to learn how to tap dance for pennies from heaven. in 1981, and he's good. He's got a very large vocabulary of steps.
We didn't know at the time how much I would have to learn to tap. They were going to give me some simple lessons, and have everybody else dance around me, the usual star turn, where the star doesn't really sing or dance, and everybody else behind him does. But they kept throwing tap steps at me, pushing me way beyond what I even thought I was capable of. I was motivated mostly through fear of not being able to do it. When you see people who are so good and present it with such ease, it just must be thrilling. The only thing I can relate it to is when I was doing my stand-up act, when I had this thing so well rehearsed and in my head, and if I got lost, I didn't care. That's the way a tap dancer must feel. It's just like ballet. It's like flying and soaring.
You have to pass it down to the younger generation to enlighten them so they can bring it through and pass it down to the next generation. Keep it going. What would we have in the world if we don't pass things on, man? What would we be? Spread it around, man. Let everybody do some of it. That's when it begins to get good.
Hey, Daddy, wait a minute. Let me show you how to do it.
Come right out here and show me how to do it. Let me see how you do it. How you do it? Show me how to do it. Oh, I see what you mean. Let me see. Is this the way? I was in Apollo when Hines, and Dad came in there the first time. They was kids. And I saw this kid. I saw it in this kid. I said, this kid could be a good dancer if he had somebody to instruct him. I took him myself under my wing.
Sandman Sims was my mentor. He would come to the Apollo Theater, and whenever my brother and I worked there, and he would show me steps. And he would encourage me to improvise. And when he was at the Apollo Theater, my mother would take us, and I'd come backstage, and he'd show me some more steps, and he'd ask me to show him some steps that I had been working on. Does everybody know that this is Sandman Sims? Because he's not, actually.
Just as tap dance was passed down from Sandman to Gregory, a whole new generation is learning the art. And this generation is learning from the masters.
I think that it's people like Savion Glover who are going to take over. Savion is really the man, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, when I was 14 years old, I wasn't dancing anywhere near what this man can do at 14.
Savion Glover is really the future of tap. I can say that without any doubt at all. Even on the set with the hoofers, if he saw them doing something, he'd run over there and want to learn it right away. He's really into it.
I'll be sitting on the side or something, and they'll come over and say, hey, try this step, do this step. And then when they teach it to me, I pick it up, then I just keep it in my head and just keep working at it.
Make the first step or two as big as you can. Because it's, you're wide. Spread out.
Henry Letang and Savion worked together to create a dance that Savion would perform in the film.
First, he told me to think of some flashy steps. So I put in a couple of steps. The backflip, that was one. He says, okay, do this, blah, blah, blah. And so I do that for like 5 minutes. Then he says, do this, blah, 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 do this, do this, do this. Then we put it all together. And we have the dance. I want to tap dance, I don't know. So I can't move my feet anymore.
One of the fascinating things I think about tap dancing is that it's passed down from generation to generation. Nick Castle Jr., the director of the film, his father was one of the great tap choreographers. In the 40s and the 50s, he did some of the most important, innovative things that motivated us all.
We first met Nick Castle at 20th Century Fox. And when we arrived there, he greeted us and he said, "Oh, I'm so happy that you're here because now somebody can do my ideas." That was one film that we were making the film called Orchestra Wise. Now, before we shot the film, and we were at rehearsal, so right in the middle of the number, Nick said, stop the music, stop. I got a great idea. I said, "What is it, Nick?" He said, "I got an idea where you walk up the wall, do a backflip into a split." I looked at him and said, "Are you crazy? Huh? You walk up, oh, get away." And then I ran up and did it one time, you know. Then I did it another time, and Nick Castle told the guys, he said, "Now, this time don't hold him at all. Just make him think you're holding him, you know." So they were there, and I was kind of all confident, you know, and everything. I ran up the wall, did the split perfect, you know. He said, "Now, that's great." I said, "Well, you know, hey, what do you expect? They're holding me." He said, "No, they weren't holding you." And I dropped down. You mean, and I still have my head on?
My father used to sit at the kitchen table at night thinking of the routines for the next day and tap dance. I don't even think he knew he was doing it, but that's how he whiled away the time.
5, 6, 7, 8.
In the movie, it's stated that tap dancers, the way they get their steps is they steal it from one another. And by combining ideas that they steal from here, they come up with their own ideas. Well, I stole my idea for this movie, or at least for part of the movie, from my dad, which was okay since it's in the family. He did a movie called Summer Stock where he came up with a great idea. Gene Kelly is mooning over his love of Judy Garland and goes into an empty barn and does a little tap dance, but how he starts it is by walking over a loose board, and he hears a creak. He steps on a piece of paper and hears the sound of the paper against the wood. And those sounds inspire a tap dance. I took that basic idea from my father and came up with the first scene in the movie. Max, the lead character, is in prison, and it's driving him crazy. And a rhythm that he hears inspires a tap dance. It's dancing to that rhythm that saves him, and that's what I got from my dad. One of the reasons that I did the film is to pay back my father. This, in a sense, is a way of thanking him for what he gave me during his life. And I was never able to really give him that, you know, tell him thank you. So this is a way of saying thanks, Dad.
Sometimes I hate to read the paper.
I'm from California, Baja. I was born on the desert out there. And that's all I had to dance on was sand. And my father died 6 years ago, 106 years old, and I never could outdance him. At my tops right now, I could not dance him because I'm doing what I think he would do when he danced. And he didn't show me anything. He told me when I was dancing, if you want to learn it, get it yourself.
I came from a neighborhood where Everybody danced. In the streets. Everywhere. It was a dancing neighborhood, South Philly. And my dad had a restaurant. Right across the street was the Standard Theater. Some of the best acts in the world played there, you know. And my dad's restaurant stayed open 24 hours a day. So some wild things happened there at night, you know. Sessions, great dancers, great musicians, great actors, great comedians. It was all there.
There's only two things that I've ever thought about doing. One was becoming a priest and dancing. So I talked to my confessor, Father William Marley of the Holy Ghost Fathers, and I told him what I wanted to do. And he said, no, Bunny. He said, I think God wants you to dance. And he said, and if you conduct yourself in the right way, you'll be serving him that way. I don't think you'd make a good priest. So I'm dancing.
The Hoofers in the film, you know, are actually the second generation of American tap masters. They learned their craft from men and women who brought tap into the spotlight of American culture through vaudeville and films. People like Bill Robinson.
Known as Bill Bojangles Robinson. His taps were so clear. He used wooden soles and wooden heels. And whenever he would dance over the radio, it sounds so beautiful. You could picture what he was doing, and because it was crystal clear with his taps.
Well, there was a young fellow named Baby Lawrence, and to me, he was the greatest tap dancer in the world. He influenced me because he brought something new into dancing. The time I started, they were doing splits and flips and over the tops, but Baby just danced with his feet. And he's the one that really made me start thinking about calming down and just use the ankles.
Shoes dancing by themselves.
If I had to choose one tap dancer, I think my favorite would be John Bubbles. John Bubbles was the kind of father of modern tap dancing. He started to drop his heel and syncopate his feet. Most of tap dancing was on the toes before him.
I would say my favorite tap dancer was a guy named Teddy Hale. He had a powerful impact on me. When I was about 7 years old, I saw him, and he was the first tap dancer that I saw who I recognized didn't have a routine. He didn't have an act. He improvised. He just came out on stage and made it up as he went along. And I thought to myself, you know, that's what I want to do. I'd like to be like Teddy Hale and improvise.
Now, tap wasn't just happening in theaters. It was also on the streets, and anybody could do it.
Tap was the street dance of its day, as breakdancing was a few years ago to young people. Tap was a way that you not only gained a certain self-confidence, you know, as an artist, but got into show business, made some money. In the 20s and 30s, if you came into New York City and didn't know how to tap dance and you considered yourself a dancer, you were unemployed.
I got put in jail out here in Los Angeles for dancing on the street at night. They got me for late-hour vague. They kept me in jail a week, and when I got to court, the judge asked me, said, what are you in for? I said, late-hour vague. He said, what are you doing out there that time of night, every night like this? The officer said, he see you. I said, I'm out there dancing. He said, doing what? I said, dancing. He said, what kind of dance you do? And he said, show me. And I pushed the chairs back and danced. He said, case dismissed. When I got out, I went straight to New York. Because I know they didn't want that here. And I got to New York, you could dance all you want to, all of them down the streets, anywhere. And they didn't care. In New York, man, they don't want to know if you can dance, are you the best? And if you're not the best, if you say you're the best, they'll go get enough guys to say, to make them prove that you're the best. You got to prove that you're the best.
Listen, Mo, now I know you guys were good in your day, but since you ain't got no legs anymore, there's no reason.
Be mean.
You think we ain't got no legs? Sandman, you know what this young man said? We ain't got no legs. That means I ain't got no legs, you ain't got no legs, and them men in there ain't got no legs. Now, what does that sound like to you?
A challenge. Now, I ain't challenged nobody.
Oh, yes, you did. Challenge!
We cut. So the challenge is something I always wanted to put in the show, to show what used to go on in the 20s and 30s, not in the clubs, but on the streets and in the back rooms of the clubs, where guys would challenge, literally challenge, choose off another guy and say, see if you can do this step. And there would be a big crowd gathered around, and they would go for days.
Challenge!
Challenge! Guys would come in, we'll have a file in, and you're basically reiterating, you know, the guy thinks we have no legs.
Here we go. Take class, please. Roll down.
We got 36, A2, A, B, and C, column mark.
I don't know how they win these things. I think it's from finally applause, or someone finally falls over. But it was exciting. It's like, it reminded me of a duel or some kind of Western fast draw contest. That's what the idea I wanted to get across in the challenge. There's a real kind of macho, masculine thing to do, to beat the other guy out in a step.
There's nothing he can steal. Yeah, Mo, put it on him.
Said live, real free. When your steps come to you, your bird don't get up and pattern his flight every day. He fly over here and fly over. He just fly anywhere, and he's pretty flying. That's dancing.
This kind of dancing, when you're doing it and you're getting smooth and everything is coming out right, the best way I could describe it is like, put your hand through velvet. Velvet. Everything seems like velvet because everything is coming out.
It's a soaring kind of dance, you know. There's no limits to what you can do with it, you know. It's like jazz.
Tap dancing is interpreting a number, and like a jazz musician being able to do great riffs. Choreographed numbers, I have nothing against choreographed numbers, but I think what I wanted to show, in a sense, was the other side of tap dancing, which is tap dancers getting up and just hanging loose and just doing whatever came into their head improvisationally.
One of the things about Nick that I so appreciated was that although he's not a tap dancer, in fact, Nick Castle may be one of the worst tap dancers I've ever seen. He has the heart of a tap dancer. He has the empathy. He is simpatico. Myself, all the other tap dancers could communicate with Nick. We're on the set. We're getting ready to shoot the scene. And yet they felt comfortable saying to Nick, you know, and I do that step that goes, jeep-bop, jeep-bop, And Nick could just listen and understand what the step was and where it was going to go.
You do the four. He starts to do the four, but you want him to keep going because you want to see more. And then you just let him have center stage and come back in here. Improvised numbers, still need a structure, and Henry's a master at working with improvisational dancing. He's worked with Gregory since Gregory was 5. He knows all the guys. He's a hoofer himself, so he knows just how to use each dancer's individual style.
Whenever I dance alone, Henry is there, and Henry acts like an editor for me. I think of my stuff as improvography, I call it, because it's part improvisation and part choreography, in that maybe the first take it'll be almost completely improvised.
When we would play it back, Greg and I would sit there and decide on what we liked, what we didn't like, where we wanted to put this, that, or the other, or change this around. And we want to make sure that his opening segment and the middle segment and the closing segment are strong. So you got to put a little breather in between, and then you'll get your burst of applause.
With the other hoofers, Henry's like a jazz band conductor. He lets each soloist know when it's time to jump in there.
Say we're doing a dance number, and I want a figure that looks like a slide. So then I would say to Jimmy Slide, Jimmy, this is your thing, because he's like the slide king. You have a smooth dancer like Slide that looks like he's on ice. You have rhythm tap dancers, which do a lot of close, fast footwork. Then you got the acrobatic type tap dancer like the Nicholas brothers that can leap off that roof and land in a split and all fantastic things like that. There's so many ways you can go with tap.
I wanted to show that tap rhythms can come from anywhere. So we had Henry put together a number on the streets of New York.
He can go here. Oh, I know what he can do. Gregory goes to a club, which is having a tap dance night. Someone asked him how his father came up with his steps and how his father taught him how to tap dance. Well, he takes them out into the streets of New York City, up into Times Square, and because that's where his father taught him how to tap dance.
He'd be out here on the corner, and he'd be trading steps with his friends. When his friends would leave, he'd stay and listen to the sounds of the city. See, that's what I'm saying. See, now what I hear is, I hear ba-dee-ah, ba-dee-ah. And what I'm saying is like, ba-dee-ah, ba-dee-ah. Nick?
This is what he teaches the audience from his club, and they do a number together on the streets of New York City.
Choreographing the New York street dance number was my biggest challenge. It was the movie's largest number. I had so many different dances, all different styles. That's why we spent a few days rehearsing on the back lot with Gregory. To do is break it up, feature a hoofer in front of the younger dancers, showing them a few steps, and it had to look completely spontaneous. Gregory would take a couple of guys over here and work on it, and I set what they're doing, and I had some boys going up some planks which looked like stairs, and I set their numbers. Each segment had to top the other. Each scene got stronger and stronger and stronger.
tap is so improvisational, it's so spiritual, you know, it's freedom. It feels like you're doing something that has no bounds, you know. You feel like when you jump up in the air, you may never come down.
In New York, they called me Howard Sims. So I started going on the amateur show. And I went on the amateur show 10 times, 10 weeks in a row, and they blew me off. They booed me off because they had so many good dancers there. And I was doing the tap dance, which I wasn't so much accustomed with at that time. And last night they booed me off. I got mad, and I said, well, I'm going to fix them. I'll bring my sand back with me. They had never seen that, so I brought my sand back and threw the sand on the floor. When I come out the curtains, they start booing me off because they've been doing it 10 weeks. So I put the sand down and I started dancing, and everybody in the audience damn near got up and walked to the stage to see what I was dancing on, see what kind of noise this was I was making, because it was making rhythm sound. They asked the MC, said, what is that he's dancing on? He said, that's sand, man. And that's how I got my name.
Everybody had a gimmick of one kind. Tap dancers are always looking for something that will give their taps a unique sound. Bill Robinson was famous for dancing on a set of stairs, each step having a different tonality.
Hoopers always have different ways of making music with their taps.
I tune my taps like you do a banjo. Each tap gives a different sound. Like you have a banjo with 4 strings, and each string sound the same, you ain't getting no music. So if each string is different, you can play a tune. My taps are different. You can hold my taps up and hit them under the bottom, and each one of them give off a different sound.
No matter what sounds they made, with the coming of rock and roll and electronic music, tap dancers had to come up with a new way to make their sounds heard.
I rigged up pickups underneath these taps. I run these through my system, and like, boom, they're gonna hear this in Scarsdale.
For the last 3-4 years, I've been experimenting with amplifying tap. And I've carried around a stage with me when I work live with pickups in it so that I could be heard with electronic instruments. I feel like, as a tap dancer, it's important for me to try things. When Nick and I first started to talk about the film, we came upon the idea of really trying to do something special with the tap dancing at the end of the film, and trying to do something innovative in an electronic way. And we found this guy, Al DeCio, who had been experimenting with that for like 8 years.
Back in 1980, I hired a sound studio and an engineer, and I said, I'm going to tap through this microphone you've set up for me, put my tap sounds through every effects imaginable in your system, and he did. The possibilities suddenly became very apparent, what you could do with electronics and tap. So they got in touch with me and asked me to give them a demonstration for Gregory, who was just delighted with the idea.
Yeah, the left heel is not as sensitive.
We put together a team of sound engineers and computer programmers who worked with Al to develop our electronic tap system.
As I said, the left heel is perfect.
Pickup microphones are put into the toes and heels of the tap shoes. The tap sound is sent to a keyboard, triggering a synthesizer to produce whatever sound the dancer desires.
Give us another sound.
It's like once you solve the problem of triggering that sound, that was like just the beginning, because now he has any sound that any keyboard player or drummer could ever play available with his feet. We want it to be believable. We want people to know that he's tap dancing and actually doing this, and it's not some kind of movie magic or trickery.
Here's a possibility for whoever comes up with ideas using this and says, I want to do a quintet of tap dancers, 2 percussion, 1 electronic, 1 string, 1 digital delay. I mean, there are composers out there who will want to use those ideas and compose that way, using moving musicians.
Henry Latang is always thinking about the future of tap dancing. So he just decided he wanted to open up a tap school in Los Angeles.
Gregory was after me for quite a while to open a school out here. And I'm happy to say that the word is getting around. And the new bunch that I'm getting, they're very serious. Most of them want to come in like every day. And then they don't want to leave. And they go into another room and they're practicing and so forth. They're really dedicated. Good. All right. You do 12 of those. But I'm just very happy that I'm still here to help bring this about.
The resurgence in tap has led to symposiums and conferences dedicated to discussing the history and the future of this uniquely American art form.
In tap, you gotta want to do it. You gotta want to feel the joy of knocking out rhythms with your feet. You gotta feel it, because that's what it is, it's joy. It's joyful. You think we'd be doing it because there was no money in it? I mean, you know, I mean, there was, but, you know... We didn't get it.
So many of the people that I meet on the street now, the tap dancers that I meet, you know, they're just so turned on about the art that's called tap.
I think we are the future. And I see people like Gregory. You see the Hoofer still remaining. You see Savion Glover, who is fantastic. And I see a lot of interest being created by him, by Gregory, by Sammy, by ourselves, all of us.
Well, we're educating the people, this new generation, what tap is all about. Now, all these films that we have made through the years, when this generation sees those films, they just go wild. They never seen anything like that before. And they always ask me, Mr. Nicholas, how did you do that? And I always answer very carefully.
You want the best for your family.
Of a picture called Tap. Because tap dancing is in my blood. It's one of the heritages that my dad and my mom passed on to me. And within our story, you'll find out that it's as much alive now as it was when I first started tap dancing at the age of 3. So please, keep on listening. And we're going to keep on tapping.